Hello, today I will demonstrate how our bespoke workshops work, what it is all about, and how you end up with a beautiful perfume which is no different in technical terms from whatever you get off the shelf of a department store or any other shop. So, we kept one formula by a customer as an example of what you can achieve, and I personally really liked what she created. I call it accidental lilac. She used quite strong materials in the background, but then she went aqueous and transparent, and at the end it all worked perfectly and turned out to be an accidental lilac. So, like any classic perfume, we offer you to create a pyramid with background notes, base notes. This is what you go through first. You select the start, the foundation, the notes which will stay with you for the longest. Then, once you've mixed your base, you smell the result and proceed to smelling and choosing hot notes. This is where you meet lighter notes, flowers, spices, fruit, lighter woods. Whereas in the base notes set, you mostly have darker woods such as amber or heavier molecules such as white musk. And once you've mixed your heart and your base and smelled the result, you move on to fine tuning with top notes. And this is it. It takes about an hour and a half. It's very interactive. All the decisions, all choices come from you. We only help you with explaining what the notes are, how they might interact together, depending on what you've chosen. And again, this is it. We don't insist on any combinations. Some people ask, oh, what if I mixed unmixable? So be it. This is the whole point and the purpose of a bespoke workshop. You mix a blend you personally think is the most beautiful blend out there. So back to that customer's creation. For base notes, she picked fougere, oud, and amber. All quite strong and dark materials, apart from fougere, which is oak moss meets green grass kind of note. A lot depends on the proportions, volumes, because same set, sometimes we have two people mixing at the same time, and when they pick very similar choices but mix them in different ways, results are entirely different. It's like different perfumes, even though when you look at the description and the list of notes, they might be very similar. And in that person's formula, fougere is dominant in the base. And fougere, to me personally, reminds of walking in an autumn forest. Dry leaves, lots of rain, that all mixing. That's what oak moss and green grass nuances create, in my memory. So she used some of that. Proportion-wise, it's like 80% of her base would be that aqueous, cool forest nuance. Then she used some oud, a much darker, much more dense material with a lot of ambery, even smoky nuances going on. So before. And also selecting certain combinations reveals different nuances in perfume materials. All base notes, apart from being very long lasting, are quite richly nuanced, and combine oud with fougere and it enhances the shady feel of fougere. Combine oud with, say, tobacco, and certain spiciness starts to grow. It's called a facet. When you combine marginally, say, spicy or green materials which do not smell of that particular nuance too much on their own, together they create a certain magical synergy, and that nuance is called a facet. And finally, some amber. Amber is a dark resinous mix with labdanum, vanilla and patchouli. Patchouli does smell of autumn forest, so we have a cool, shady start. Also, the color is beautiful. This is how you know natural ingredients are being used. A good perfume should always be of golden color. The color of oils and butters you extract from plants. Then, in terms of hot notes, we have a mix of several flowers, two of them being very aqueous, Peony and Freesia are the aqueous ones. To give them a bit of body, the lady felt like using some gardenia, and to continue and to link that floral selection to what she had in the base, she picked cedarwood, which is a lighter woody option at this point. So let's see. And it's mostly cedarwood in this particular lamp. So olfactive pyramid comes about naturally. Heavier molecules sink to the bottom, lighter ones sort of linger in the middle, and the lightest top notes stay in the top. And they leave your skin in reverse order. Top notes leave first. Textbook longevity would be around an hour and a half. Hot notes, depending on what they are, stay for about 4 to 5 hours. And base notes can last anywhere from 6 to probably 12 hours. Then it's Freesia. Freesia in our workshop smells like florist shop in the morning. Lots of green stems resting in buckets of water, and a lot of flowers sharing their aromas. And again, depending on what you mix it with, it can go more floral, it can go greener, or if you mix it with, say, sea breeze base, it starts smelling a bit like algae. Peony also belongs to the aqueous florals category. So the logic here is quite clever. You start with forest and rain in that forest. You proceed with aqueousness by selecting aqueous flowers. And this is how you continue with the character. As a perfumer, you have choice of keeping your character at any stage. Start aqueous and fresh woody, pick similar smelling materials at stage 2, the hot notes, and finish off with similar nuanced materials, or you can introduce some intrigue and a contrast at each stage. Again, that would be entirely up to the customer mixing his or her own formula. So that's the aqueous floral heart. As you may see, there's less in the measuring cylinder. Again, that's to do with the structural guidelines of professional perfume making. as you build your pyramid, each stage becomes less. And finally, top notes. In top notes we have green tea, lotus, another aqueous flower, herbs and aloe vera. So what used to be rain in a forest at the base note stage becomes aloe vera at the top notes. So the lady apparently, or obviously, decided to keep the character and build a uniform character. And I mentioned peony, I mentioned oud and fougere. Nothing to do with lilac. But once you've mixed all of these materials together and topped it up with aloe vera, all of a sudden there's this fantasy garden filled with lilacs at full bloom. And this is what professional perfumers often do. They create fantasies. They start with a concept and then they try to create that olfactive landscape corresponding to the original concept. So, green tea. Pink lotus. Whenever perfumers have those double names, they want to tell you something. It's like code language. So pink usually refers to slightly sweet. Lotus would be an aqueous floral nuance. And originally, when people used to distill lotuses in their real form, it would be roots of the lotus. So it's a touch spicy, because the product of the lotus root smells a bit like ginger. A little bit of wild herbs to make it a bit drier, a bit greener. And finally, aloe vera. And top notes occupy less than either of the other stages, but they complete your perfume in a way we're all used to when we smell formulas. We all expect or have learned that there should be a certain logic, a certain evolution of a perfume, otherwise it won't smell like perfume to us. A blend of essential oils or a scent, but not perfume. And this is top notes. So when we proceed through the workshop, customers are able to check their progress at any stage. If they're not sure, they can always stop and maybe adjust a certain part of their formula. That doesn't happen too often because we spend quite a lot of time thinking about and discussing what goes in, how that might interact, how materials might interact with each other. And I would say probably 1 in 30 customers wants to remix a certain part of their perfume. But even those people who do that often go back to their original choice. So very often it's more of a case, what if? So, and this is how you mix your perfume. Then we mix all the parts together. I bottle your perfume and you walk away with 50 ml of your own formula. And you can always come back for more because we keep everyone's perfumes on record forever.